Hello and welcome to my shop. My name is George and I'm coming to you from Chelsea, Quebec. Now, in a recent article in Fine Woodworking, Bob Van Dyke published an updated version of his L fence. Now, by recent, the date is August 2021, issue number 290. And an L fence is an auxiliary fence that you attach to your table saw fence, and it does everything that a sacrificial fence would do, plus a lot more, and it's safer to use. Now, I'm not going to go into all of those details. Instead, I'm just going to encourage you to go find Van Dyke's article and read it, because he explains what all the L fence can do, and he gives solid examples on how to use it. Now, I got excited by that article, and so I decided to make an L fence of my own. I found Bob Van Dyke's version sophisticated, and while I would enjoy having a fence like his, my tendency is to make simpler fences that will take care of today's needs, maybe a little bit of versatility, but not nearly as much as the sophisticated version that he made. So I decided to make a simple one of my own. It's just two boards glued together in the shape of the letter L. And even in gluing it together, I wasn't careful to make sure that the boards were perfectly square to each other. Instead, I just made a few light passes on the two outsides on my jointer until those faces were square to each other, and that was fine. There's a bit of blocking at the two ends with a whole board through, and that's to accept this style of clamp. So you can recognize these clamps as being the kind that you use to hold on to a sacrificial fence. The diameter is 3/8 of an inch, and I bored these holes a 1/64 of an inch greater than that, so they slip into place easily. So the L fence, now to adjust the height, I made a bunch of blocks that have different dimensions. So 1.25 inches, an inch this way, some narrow ones or thin ones, 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, and then a block over here that gives me either 3/4 or a 1/2 inch. And I use these things to prop up the fence. So if I want it up, say 3/4 of an inch, then I slip these two underneath and then clamp it in place. Now you can see from the shape of this thing, did I mention the dimensions? This leg is about 1.5 inches high, measured on the outside, and this one is about 2 3/4 of an inch horizontally extending, again from the outside. Okay, now you can see from this arrangement that I'm quickly running out of travel as I want higher and higher positions. But for that, if I need to go higher, I can just turn the fence upside down. The holes are bored right the way through. Turn it now into a gamma fence, as in alpha, beta, gamma, and put it back in place. So let's go 1 3/4 inches. And as you can see, I'm still back registering well against the fence, the table saws fence. Okay, so give me a second to change, and I'll put this fence to work. Okay, I have a couple of wide panels and a couple of narrow panels that I'm going to glue into the shape of a box. And on the wide panels, I'm making a rabbet or a rebate into which I'm going to glue the narrow panels. And I've already used the table saw's ordinary fence, the regular fence, to cut a groove. And now I want to remove this lower portion. So I've adjusted the height of the blade to just cut into the existing groove. And to make life simple, what I want to do is cut off that piece against the table saw. But if I do it this way, I'll be leaving the cutoff in between the blade and the table saw. And for a piece this small, maybe it doesn't make that much of a difference, but for larger pieces, it's a dangerous thing to do. That's where the L fence will come in. So the first thing I'm going to do is choose the height of the L fence. So I've come to the blade and I've taken a couple of shims and stacked them to clear the height of the blade. So this makes sure that the L fence is not going to get cut by the blade. So the height's been adjusted and the L fence has been clamped into place and it clears the blade, no problem. Now I want to make sure that the workpiece is going to ride against the L fence. So I'll bring it into position and see that I've got a good, how much is that? Looks like between a 1/16 and an 1/8 of an inch of overlap. So that's going to work. And now I'm going to adjust the left-right distance. Yeah, there it is. So by not riding the workpiece against the table saw's fence, there's no chance of the cutoff kicking back. I'm going to have about this much room. Looks like a good 1.5 inches of free space once the cutoff is cut off. So how is this any better than just cutting the rabbet off on the left? In other words, the fence at the right, then almost all of the panel in the middle, and the blade on the left to trim off the rabbet. Well, with these two panels, they're the same width. There's no advantage at all. In fact, that would be the easier way to do it. But if you wanted to make the same rabbet on many panels and they were different in width, then having the L fence would speed things up. You would have one setup and you would run all the boards through with that one setup, no matter what their width was. Okay, I'm back. I hope you found that interesting or amusing or instructive, anything along those lines. What I came back for was to bid you adieu. Make some time for your passion, and if you can share it, even better. Bye for me for now.